absolutely brilliant. Really is a wonder of engineering. Marvellous.
Right, fire her up. Brilliant, not a wisp of smoke. Rupert, have you seen what's outside?
Yes, I have.
What do you make of it?
Really good.
Have you missed him?
Yes, I've missed it.
Oh. I just thought I'd take you a video. Right, that's the rear spring mount, obviously. That's a bit past its best, but I've got a new one of those. That's the, obviously that's the rear. I suppose it's a live axle, isn't it? No, it's not. It's, I don't know what it is anyway. Subframe, yeah, perhaps it is. And then that's the wheel arch liner. That's where the suspension bush would have come out, and that's the suspension bush there. That failed. That passed its MOT as well. I can't fathom it. That's the new one. That's just absolutely dead. It's dreadful. I mean, it's not even. It wasn't even that good on the other side. Anyway, if I now show you, so that's where it mounts on there, and that's where the hole is. So I think I'll grind it all down and see what I'm left with. A plate, I think, is perhaps the best bet. But anyway, I'll show you later. That's the seat.
Sit down then.
Oh, bollocks. This is the passenger side. So the bracket's in a shocking state, old holes in it, look. And I don't think the car's too bad compared to the other side, but there's holes. It's just about see through to the other side there. Right. That's all corroded. Almost don't know where to start with that either. Anyway. No, I'm just cleaning back all the old metal today just to see what we're left with, which probably won't be a lot, and deciding how much to cut out. This is the passenger side. Right, that's the first layer, and that's the previous skin, and that's the seat bracket. The other skin, the other side. All of that's the hole, goes through to the other side. I think you can just about see that. Yeah, that don't look too good either. Either side. That's hole through to the inside. Getting to scrape all the rust off. That's the inner wheel arch on the driver's side. So you can see there. Right through to the other side. And that's the interior removed. Slightly better than the other side, I think. Right, what I thought I'd do is undrill the spot welds that held that top panel on, peel it back, and then I'll see how much needs replacing. thing is the bumper. So there's a bit of damage here. First thing, as you can see, somebody's driven into that. You can see also there's a very poor texture on it. And if you look along the length, you can see a variety of horrible minor dents, fish eyes, scrapes, and general levels of horrible flakiness. So well, that's a nice dent there to fix. Making paint. That's where the exhaust pipe would have been. I've certainly seen worse, but generally speaking, it's a pretty grim looking thing. That's because it's salt and grit off the road. So I'll do that. I'm not sure if that's that long once I painted it, but perhaps I could put some stone chip on it. Right, this is the seat, and it's in fairly good condition, and it's a bit grubby. But the reason why I need to swap it is the fact that the new seats that I've taken to replace the ripped front seats are a slightly different shade. Now, I got the complete set, but the difficulty is that the roller arrangement for the dog guard thing is only in the old seats. So I've kept the base of the old seats, but I need to make this one match. So obviously, there's a number of decisions that have to be made here, but I think the best option is to just slightly recondition this one so that it matches the rest, and then we'll go from there. So as you can see, that's the mark where obviously the pivot point is. There's a bit square, but there aren't any cracks on this particular one, so that's obviously quite a bonus. Now I think also the other thing we're dealing with is, I understand it that when you're feeling this, you can feel that is leather, but I'm not entirely convinced that that isn't PVC. I know in other cars I've had, the side fitting, the side panel, has been like a sort of textured PVC style arrangement, but hopefully that will take the dye. But if it doesn't, then it's not going to be a major problem, but because the shade isn't far off. But anyway, here we go. So the first stage is to clean it, and that involves a pad which is dampened with washing up liquid and a little bit of leather cleaner. It is that watery liquid, as you can see, and then you just keep going like that until it's clean. Now, I'm not going to bore you with that because ultimately I've tried it on the other seats and it takes forever and doesn't look any different when you finish. But this is what the instructions said, so it's best to follow that to the letter. Well, we'll see. Anyway, I'll keep going and come back in a minute. Right, cleaning stage complete, and as you can see, it doesn't look a great deal different. I think it's because perhaps that what we assume is dirt is perhaps where the leather has absorbed all manner of filth over the years. But that comes off with the next stage, so I will put that on and show you next. Right, the first stage is the of preparation is this stuff. Now, I think basically, smelling it, it smells very much like cellulose thinners. So I think that's consistent with what it says it does, which is that it removes the top layer of paint off the leather. I think we need to be mindful of the fact that leather isn't actually as it is off the cow. It's softened, and obviously all the fat and stuff has been removed. But then to protect it, there's like a layer on top, which is like a flexible paint. And when you do this process, you realise what is the problem with most leathers, and that is that it's not the leather that's the damaged. It is the surface coating which gives it its durability. So this effectively strips off the sealing layer to allow the rest of it to stick. So I'll do that now, but basically you put a bit on a cotton wool, soak that, and then it soaks through the pad, and you scrub it rigorously, and you'll see that all the finish comes off. And you'll see there's a bit of damage there. Now it's questionable as to whether that's worth doing anything about. It's a little scuff. Probably I think I will, because there's no point part doing a job. So I will show you how to fill that afterwards. Right. Here we go then. Right, so I put a bit of there on there. I've got loads of things in the garage, so if I run out, I'll just use that. I think. Anyway, so that is do that, but it doesn't seem to have gone through, so I think I'll squirt that and show you what I see. That's where a bit spilt, and you can see it's taken the colour off straight away, and you can see there, that's probably giving a sense of what the colour should be like if you remove the top layer. So I think we've got the top layer being removed. So that's quite interesting how the years have created that sort of grime. But anyway, I can feel it's getting sticky as it's dissolving, so I'll carry on and show you do the rest of it. Right, I've been having a go, but I think the supplied leather prep was rubbish, so I think this 2-pack thinners is perfect. And if you look at it, you can scrub it, and the aim of it is to get some of the colour layer off to provide a key. So as you can see, that's scrubbing it. Nothing too drastic happened. I'll leave this in dry. Now I'm doing this in the kitchen because the wife's there, obviously, and hopefully you can see. You can't see a lot yet, but when I take the kitchen roller and wipe it off, you can see the colour of it's coming off, which is exactly what you want. So far as I can tell, anyway, I'm no expert on this, but I think it seems to be working fairly well. And likewise, if we've got this one here, you can see there the colour's coming off. So that's ideal, because it tells you if the colour's coming off, then certainly the varnish which you're attempting to remove must also be coming off, and it leaves that lovely dull finish. But I think perhaps the thing I'm taking from this is, if your car is a little bit grubby, perhaps getting some of this leather prep and then just putting the matte coat over the top, which I'll show you later, might actually give it a perk up and get rid of the problem, which is the only problem with these kits is the stitching. As you can see there, you've obviously got the cotton or whatever it is, polyester I guess, and when you paint it, there's no getting around the fact that you are actually going to paint that. So try to avoid that as much as possible, but I think that is the downside of this treatment. Anyone that knows what they're looking for will notice that the thread is slightly painted. So I think what I'll do is, when I'm doing that, I'll make it a bit lighter around that stitching, so it's obviously so it's not so obvious. Okay. Right, I've now cleaned it all off. The house smells like a paint booth, but hopefully that will be clear later. But as you can see, it's left a very, very dry texture. There's a bit of dust up there, and it says now to leave it for an hour whilst the, I think it's really reading between the lines, it's while the solvents dry off. So as you can see, it's still got that crack, so that's looking more obvious now. So I think that needs fixing. There's one there as well, and I think that's about it. Little note, if you're sort of you have to be careful if you're using these solvents to make sure the plastic bit's okay. So what I shall do later, I shall mask those off as best I can. It's not massively important in this case, because the old and the new colour are pretty much the same. So if I do overlap some masking tape, it's not going to be a major catastrophe, but it's worth just being mindful that you want a professional looking job. But obviously, there you go. Now, as you see, there's the thread looking quite dark, so you can see actually the more you look into it, the worse it is. So I suppose it's not too bad for a car of its age, but let's see, this finish is supposed to last, well, it says 5 years, about as long as the original would last before it started to look a bit tatty. And that's a bit consistent, isn't it, with lots of cars you see that are 5 years old are starting to look all creased and cracked and horrible. Depending on what car it is, of course, some are better than others. But anyway, there we are, that's my next thing. So, right, this is an optional extra to the kit, and it's FlexiFill. And the idea of this is, where you've got a crack, and obviously it's more for cracks than it is for little scratches like that, but where there's a crack, what it tells you is that, what it does is, I think it offers a little bit of support to stop the crack getting bigger, and I think that's actually preventative, because in the old car, with the old seats, I did notice that I got cracks first, and then a couple of years later, where the cracks were, I then got the rips. And once you've got rips, there's not a great deal you can do. Although that's sort of a point of contention, because I think there are some leather rip repair kits, and I think basically what you do, stick a patch on the back, put some super glue on it, and then fill over the top. Not unlike you would do if you're very like a car body repair. I think there's a lot of transferable skills here. But anyway, so you can see that's what I'm going to do next, and it's like a little paste. So if I take the lid off, and oh, that's just struggle. Oh no, it's okay. Getting old, my fingers are getting a bit stiff compared to how they used to be. But anyway, this is it. And so I use a Shell driver's club card, and I don't know how old it is, but anyway, a little bit on there. And the idea is, when you watch the videos of this, you use a very small amount, so that you don't have to worry about getting it off afterwards. So you can see it says little and often, little layers, and you can see there's barely any in there now. But if you keep going, what you'll find is that the crack, that it builds up. And sandpaper is your friend here. And again, likewise, I'm going to do a little bit here. Again, you can't see a great deal, but you can see that it's filling it up slightly, and the idea is you do it in between with a hairdryer. It actually recommends that when you sort of research it. If there's any left, don't worry, you can use sandpaper to get it off. But the trouble is, if you put too much on, there you go, there's it gone. If you put too much on, the battle you've got is with ruining or removing the grain. and then it looks like a smooth patch, which obviously perhaps gives the game away that you've done something with it. So I would keep clear of that. Now you see there, it's just about enough to detect. That's probably a little bit heavy on the bits that haven't got the cracks in it, so remove the excess like that. And again here, let's give it another bit, and it says hairdryer next, so keep doing this until you're satisfied it's level. Now I haven't waited the full hour here because I think where where I've done that, it's I'm going to heat it with a hairdryer in a minute, so it won't actually matter too much. But anyway, this stuff is quite friendly. It doesn't dry too quickly, so you've got plenty of time to put the lid back on. Not like some things you use that are so quick. If you forget about it and leave the lid off, then before you know it, it's just a solid lump. Anyway, there you go. So I'll do that a couple of times. There's one there as well. I'm not sure. I don't think that's anything. Anyway, I'll keep going until it's level, and hopefully we'll see at the end. This is the bit where you will see whether you can actually detect it. It'll be quite interesting. Right, the filler is now dried, and you can see it's left a sort of ring around it. So what I'm doing now is I'm sort of sanding it with 300 grit paper, which is, well, 500, no, it's 800 grit, just to make sure it's super smooth. The other good thing about that is anything that's caught in the drying surface of the leather is sort of made really smooth. I think perhaps the thing forward on after this is to use a tack rag, which is a sticky cloth to remove all the dust, and therefore providing an excellent foundation for the paint that comes next. It's lost its tackiness after about an hour, so hopefully we're in a position to proceed. I'm going to mask up the fittings, because obviously you wipe it with a cloth impregnated with the colourant, and then you spray it to get a really super even texture. So therefore there is going to be potential for the fittings to be sort of covered in a layer of paint. I'm mindful of this because this is plastic, and obviously what I'm thinking of is it needs to be pretty well abraded to make sure the paint sticks, because of the fact that obviously that's going to be moving backwards and forwards as I put the seats down. Not something I do often, but obviously I don't want it scraping off. So that said, it couldn't be a great deal worse than what the original was already like, could it? But anyway, nonetheless, I shall sand it down now and then use a tack cloth. The next stage is to put the first layer of the dye on. Now, so it's just basically, it needs to be thin, so that it just so that it starts to sink in. And you can see there, there's a slight mismatch where the filler was. But anyway, I will carry on. So it looks a bit patchy because it's dries at different speeds. This is the same seat afterwards, and that's the driver's seat.